All right, I guess we can start. All right, guys. So this is COGS 18 Coding Lab 1. I guess just to introduce myself, I'm Paul Ian Kavasag, and I'll be your TA this summer. Hopefully you guys are excited. I did send you guys at the beginning. Let me just resend that if you didn't receive it. But this is just a link I'm gonna be going over for all my labs. I'll be talking about a few of the demos. Here I'll start out with just some basics, but what I'm gonna do this quarter, since I was also a TA last spring, is I'm just gonna show you guys a video. It's very similar to all your coding labs, but it's gonna be pretty much the demos of what I did last spring. And the reason for that is there were two TAs last quarter, but this quarter for each lab it's only me and then Sylvia, but then we're doing that separately. So I think it'll be better that way, so that I can answer the questions while you watch the video. But just to begin, so this is my email that I have here. You guys can ask me lingering questions through my email, or if the professor had mentioned to you guys, you can actually ask in Piazza. So use that primarily. I can also have access to that. So it's pretty simple. And my office hours are every Wednesday, 6 to 7. Yeah, it's a little bit late, but I figure that since coding labs are due every Wednesday, this will give you guys kind of like an overview, like more extra time, because the coding labs can get a little hard later on. So this gives you more time for you to ask your questions. But just for logistics, coding labs are due every Wednesday this quarter at 11:59 p.m. And just to note, you will have 2 coding labs, like sessions, if you guys would like to go to another one, but there's gonna be one on Monday and then today on Wednesdays. And they're gonna be the same coding lab that we're gonna talk about, but the coding labs are due every Wednesday. So nothing is due on Monday. And in terms of assignments, you don't have that yet, but I will have some of the due dates here and some of the exam due dates as well as we progress. But anyways, hope you guys are excited to learn about Python. Actually, my background on Python is it's not that extensive, but I have taken or I have TA.cogs 18. I usually use it for applications primarily. One thing I like about Python is if you're learning it primarily like your first time, it's really streamlined. Things that you would think that if you worked with code before, and you want your code to do a certain way, you can figure it out, even if someone doesn't have any documentation. But if you guys have any questions on that, just let me know. But for today, for this week, we're really gonna just start out really basic. What we're gonna do is we're gonna download Anaconda, Python 3.7. I did see on Piazza you guys have already like downloaded this. What you will use this though is if you download this Python it's just gonna be an offline feature. For this quarter, you won't be using it as much because you won't have a project per se. But it's just in previous quarters we do have had students use the offline version of Python to do their projects. But for the most part, you're going to be just using Data Hub. And if you guys have known already, Jupyter Notebook is just kind of like a GUI that uses Python. It's like it's an environment where Python is used as a language, but this keeps it streamlined. And also today we're going to talk about some Python tools, basic tools, some shortcuts, and then how to fetch your assignments and submit it in Data Hub. And then primarily, the 2 main things are what are code cells and what are Markdown cells. So, but before that, let's just go over the coding lab. So what you have here, you know this is the website, but the coding lab for today is just broken down to 3 parts. They're not really asking you to do a lot of coding yet, so that's good. But most of it is just downloading. But for the first part, is gonna talk about the 2 different cells I was talking about. So what you guys would typically do in coding labs is just read, like what I would say is like read what it says. Don't just jump into what you're gonna have to submit. The one thing is when we correct these, it's not gonna be for for accuracy, let's say. It's just if you made a concerted effort. So that's one thing I would like to let you guys know. But for your assignments, make sure you actually put some effort into like like the answers. And it would be great to the coding labs this quarter are pretty large. I think there's supposed to be 25 in each session. So if you guys struggle as we progress, try to find someone to work with. You have the emails on Canvas, or you could just do it yourself. But anyways, so just read through here, do what it says. And so for the first one, there's some coding there. For the second part, there's no coding. It's just working with Data Hub and submitting your assignments. And then the last part is how to download Anaconda offline. Okay, so before I do the video, I did send this to you guys. This is just a tutorial that I'm gonna go over in the video today. Oh yeah, I guess to just let you guys know, when you guys have questions during our coding labs, you guys can interrupt me. Don't think you can, but I think it'll be better that way because you might forget your question. You can do it verbally or just through a private chat. I do have the chat on another screen, so I'm able to see what you guys are asking. But that's why I'm gonna do the video because it'll be easier to answer those. But I will answer those, in order. So if I don't get to your question, just hold up. But anyways, the link that I sent you provides these. I will give you access to it after the lab. But the first three here, A, B, C, they're gonna be about the coding cells and basic tools on Python and Jupyter Notebook. The last two, D and E, if you wanna look ahead, I just provided these. I did cover these last quarter, but the professor hasn't really covered them yet until like the second or third week, but they're gonna be about some other ways, like, more about coding and if you guys have done more coding, this will be great for you to jump ahead. In terms of a coding lab, I don't usually, like, I'll give you guys a video. I recorded it last quarter, but this quarter, I'll see. I think it'll be better if I just give you the video from last quarter. Oh, so for the Google Drive, if you click on the link that I sent you, this is just my Google Drive on CSZ. This is not part of the class. Typically, because what I do is for my labs, I have demos. I think it'll be helpful. It's kind of just an extra element on top of what the professor is already showing you guys. But I'll be adding like tutorials there and the demos on the Google Drive. But I will send you guys that every coding lab. Yeah, so yeah, for Google Drive sharing, I will give you guys access after lab. So every time you click on it, it'll ask me to give you access. I'll do it after lab. Anyway, so this will be a little bit lengthy, so let's just start. So here's the video.
For the lab today, I'm gonna first show you how to download the software you'll need. And then we're gonna show you some Python tools and actually.
Oh yeah, just to make sure you guys are aware. So last spring, I actually had another TA with me, and then she's gonna be talking at the same time, and during these coding labs. But I just want to make sure that you guys know that. But if we have a question, I can always pause the video. So just let me know.
I'm gonna show you how to work with Data Hub, and then afterwards, I'll give you some FAQs and tips and tricks on the assignment as well as the first lab, which is relatively quick. So first, how do you download Anaconda? So in this website, just click on. Oh, hold on. So the first thing you do is you go to this website, and then you click download. And then what the professor wanted to do is download the 3.7 version. So you download.
Yes. So for if we're gonna do breakout rooms, I think I might do that. Like as the last resort, because it's only me for this. I'm the only TA for each lab, and I would like to hopefully get to everyone's questions. So if you want to do that, we could do that, or we can just like talk after the video, and then you can show me. You can share screen, or you can
Hey,
just you can just message me on the chat board.
I got a quick question real quick.
Hey, okay, go ahead.
Um, why download Python through Anaconda when you could just like what's the difference between downloading through there and just downloading locally on your machine?
Okay, so I am gonna cover that, but so what we're doing here is just downloading it offline. What we've done previously in other quarters is we have students use it for their projects, but then like this quarter we're not gonna do that. It's okay, but at the same time, if you won't need it because you'll be using Data Hub to do your coding labs. Uh, what I'm showing you is just it, we're just trying to give you guys all the resources as much as possible. But later on, I think it's like week 5. You're gonna see that you can run the same thing on the Jupyter Notebook on Data Hub offline, and you can use your command prompt actually. But that's gonna be later on though. If you
Oh
wanna,
no,
yeah.
my question was more generally speaking, like disregarding this class, like if you use Python like outside the data hub, like why would you download Python through Anaconda compared
Okay.
to just downloading it just like over the command terminal, like going like brew install Python for instance. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah, but what I'm saying is like you could do that. You could download it through that. But then what we're gonna do is we're gonna use Jupyter Notebook on your Data Hub. For most of the assignments, it's just gonna be on your Data Hub. I don't know if you know that, right? Like the Data Hub. I don't.
Yeah, no, I got it. Never mind. Forget it. It's all good. Appreciate it
Okay.
though.
Yeah. But anyways, yeah. In the beginning, a lot of students do certainly ask why do we need this Anaconda when we have the like for most people you won't really need it if you're just going to use this. I mean, if it's just a class that you're going to be using Python in, but later on if you're going to use it for programming, it's better that way. It's faster.
This
Okay.
and
Thank you.
what you're gonna see is, since I already have it, is after you install it, is you're gonna have this command prompt at the bottom of the screen, and what you're gonna type here. It's not gonna show you the same thing yet, but what you're gonna type here is this. And I'm gonna show you where you guys get that. But if you go to Jupyter.org install, you can go to, it says here installing Jupyter Notebook using Conda. This is where I got that from. So when you do that, enter, install it, and if you want to access Jupyter Notebook offline, just you click the command prompt again and then type Jupyter Notebook. So this is what you'll see after you install it. Just type. And then so for that, Ashisha, you want to cover the data?
Sure. Can I share my screen? Can you all see my screen? Yes. So when you log into Data Hub, you can, the first thing that you see are the files that you have. If you have none, you're not going to see anything here. The first thing that you need to do is go to the assignments tab, click the assignments tab, and then here for you guys, if you've not fetched anything as of now, you'll see 3 released assignments. One is the lab, the assignment, and a practice thing that you know about. And then you click on any one of this, and then there'll be a button called fetch on the side. You click on fetch, and then that will come into your downloaded assignment. So that means that you downloaded that assignment to work on. Now, if you want to open the notebook, you click on it and then click on, for example, right now, I'm going to open the coding lab 1 for you. So you click on CL1 tooling. This will open a Jupyter notebook for you. This is a Jupyter notebook. Now, inside the Jupyter Notebook, let's talk about a few basic things about it, and then Paul will continue. There are two types of cells. First of all, a Markdown cell and a code cell. Now, these cells which have text in it are called Markdown cells because they are written in Markdown syntax. And then this, when I go down, is a code cell where you actually write your code. All right. Now, in terms of when you write your code, there's this thing which you'll see in everywhere called raise not implemented error. Now, you're supposed to delete this line completely and replace this line with whatever code you want to write. All right. Do not run your notebook along with this and your code. That's not going to run. So delete this completely, replace it with your code, just repeating again. All right. That's about code blocks. In order to run a code block, you need to do shift and shift enter. So when you press shift enter, it runs a code block or any markdown cell for that. All right. If you have any questions, you can just ask in the chat box or unmute yourself and then ask. Apart from this, for submitting your notebook, you go to Data Hub. Then there's an option on the side called Validate and Submit. So Validate will check your notebook for all the test cases we have for you. Validate, and then if it passes all the test cases, it's going to show you a success message. And then for submitting it, just click on Submit, and that's all. It's submitted. So make sure you submit all your coding labs on or before Wednesdays, 11:59 p.m. Pacific time. All right, just make sure you keep track of the times. You might be don't know where. So make sure you keep a track of the time. And you need to submit coding labs and assignments as well. Assignments for sure, but coding labs as well. Don't forget to submit that. And one more thing, submit your coding. We only have access to the last coding lab that you submit. So if you submit a coding lab or assignment after your deadline, you'll be marked late because we'll see only the last one that you submit. So make sure you make all the edits that you want to in your notebook and then submit it finally before then. If you don't want it, you have to. All right. That's pretty much it for Data Hub. Paul, you can carry on.
All right, thank you, Ashlisha. Okay, so just ask away. What I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna show you guys the tips and tricks on Jupyter Notebook. I've already done this on the previous, but I'll show you guys. But before that, there were some FAQs during class today. I just wanted to show you and answer those. So the first one was, how do you check your version of Anaconda or Jupyter Notebook? For the Jupyter Notebook, and for both of them, just click Help and then go here. And so for the one in Data Hub, it's 3.6. But if you download the 3.7 and then do the same thing, it'll be 3.7, obviously. And then another thing is, some of you guys use Python before. We've used a different reader, so PyCharm is the one I use. And then a question came up where, does it affect if you download Anaconda? Well, it shouldn't. I didn't really cover it, but once you download Anaconda and follow the installation prompts, it will specify, so read carefully, that if you have another reader, such as PyCharm, make sure you click that and not the other one. And so with that, it shouldn't affect it at all. Another thing is, so that question about updating your slides every time for class and accessing the slides in Jupyter Notebook. The link from the link from Canvas. Just copy that into your Jupyter Notebook here, and then you should be able to access those slides. And so now I'm gonna just go over kind of similarly to what Ashisha did, but just giving you guys some tricks on mostly what you will do on assignment 1. Pretty much your code lab 1 is done if you followed what we said. But oh yeah, earlier. So if you did most of the coding is in part 1. part 2 and part 3 are just downloading and following through Data Hub. So if you've done that, just submit it, and that should be good. Oh yeah, just to inform you guys when things are due. The coding lab 1 is due tonight at 11:59 p.m. Pacific time, and then assignment 1 is not due until April 13th, 11:59 p.m. And so, okay, so now first thing is I'm going to cover some shortcuts.
Sorry, I have a question.
Okay, go ahead.
Are we supposed to have access to what you're looking at right now? Because I can't find that anywhere.
Oh no.
No? Okay.
And tricks? No, he's just.
Okay.
Oh yeah. This is just what I'm going to show you guys. You don't have to do this. These are just tips on as you do the assignment.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, no worries. Okay, so you don't have to listen to me. You can continue doing your work or tune me out. If you have questions, just pop them in the chat box. Anyway, so when you're working with Jupyter Notebook, some shortcuts that will be helpful is if you press like Y, you delete these first. Okay. So if you press Y, the same way as so we've been working with two types of cells, right? Code cells and Markdown cells. And this hovering may take some time. So if you want to learn how to easily just change it to a code cell or Markdown cell, is so you press escape first, and then so since this is a code cell and you want to convert it to a Markdown cell, you press M, and then you press, and if you want to convert it back, you press Y to code. And then another thing is undoing. So let me see if this actually works. So yes, Z is undo, but it's gonna undo what you did prior, not yeah. And then so where you can find these shortcuts is here. You go to help and keyboard shortcuts. Very helpful. As of now, just use your mouse though.
Sorry, just a second.
Go ahead.
To clarify, assignment is not due today, but the lab is. So the lab's due tonight at 11:59 p.m. But the assignment's due on April the 13th, right? Carry on.
Okay. All right. So yeah, one other way if you guys would like to find other shortcuts is if you do Control Shift and E in your keyboard. This is a very easy way to find and implement. Like for example, which I'm going to show you later, is if you were to put in a pre-entered code, it'll just put in the hashtags, or you can just type it, whichever one is faster. And so that's one good way. Another, so that was just a brief overview. So now I'm going to talk about some tips on code cells. All right. So this wasn't really covered all the way in class today, but the class is going to cover it pretty much on Friday about strings, variables, and some of the integers and if-else statements. So when you're working with strings, what you can do is you could actually use either a quotation mark or just an apostrophe. So one way to do that is so you have a variable here, and then type in this. This is one way of doing it, and then you need to print it. And another way is putting an apostrophe. So it's the same way. Does the same thing. And then before I do some other things, let me show you, because this came up earlier. But if you wanted to do like a bold or italicized or are bold italicized. You can do this in either one, but I'll show you in the Markdown cell. One way you could do this is doing underscores. So one underscore and whatever text you have, and another underscore is going to give you italicized font. Another way you could do that is with an asterisk. So make sure you have this in between the text that you have in between the symbols. And another way, which is a longer way, is doing this. And then for bold, so remember you use one underscore for italicized. So for bold, you use two. And similarly with an asterisk. And if you want to use the longer way, and then so in Jupyter Notebook or Python, one of the nice ways of doing it is you can actually combine and nest your commands. So since what we just mentioned is so you have italicized one underscore, right? Okay. So then you have two as the bold. That should give you bold and italicized. All right. And then so let's see. Oh yeah, on your assignment one, you're gonna. I think there's a question on concatenation. So this is how you combine strings. I'll just show you this first, and so what this means is if you have like two string variables. So you just define. Oh wait, hold up. So you have to remember. So that was a markdown.
Quick question. Are you explaining what will be on the practice right now?
This is mostly on assignment one, and then there's like there's probably part one of the coding level.
Okay. And that's for April 13th, right?
Yep.
Awesome. Thank you.
Oh, just to mention, so there is a practice as well. That one isn't, it isn't required, but please go over that. It will help you. So.
Okay, so when you do concatenation, so you define two strings. That's what I did there. And then what you would do is, so for like a full name, you would just add them, and then make sure you add a space in between. Oh, wait, so like this. So yeah, that's how you do it. And okay, now I'm gonna move on to numbers. So there's some basic ones, and there's ones that's not too intuitive. So mainly, when you add two numbers, you have the print sign, and then you add them like this, like very intuitive. And then subtraction. Okay, and then you can even do multiplication, and then division. But if you wanted to find like the remainder, so if you divide like 5 divided by 2, it gives you this, but it's a decimal. If you want to find the remainder, you put a percentage and a 2 in between, and this should give you 1. And then another one that there's a ton of these if you wanted to look for them. But another one is how do you square something? It would be 2 asterisks and that. And also another thing is you've seen this in your lab, in the notebook labs, and you'll see an assignment. But when you want to add like a comment, This time you probably don't need to do a lot of these, but later on, if someone were to look at your notebook, it's easier to document what you did. So what you would do is just add in a hashtag, and it's in a code cell, and then just type in whatever it is. And when you run it, it's not going to run that. Okay, so that's enough for the code cells. We're going to move on to Markdown cells. All right. So let me actually show you guys that shortcut. So when you do Control-Shift-P, and then if you wanted to, instead of inputting a hashtag, you can just do this, change cell, because they go up to 1 to 6. You could do that and then type in whatever you want here, instead of typing the hashtags.
Wait,
And
can you explain that one more time, please?
okay.
Thanks.
So when you're doing like headings, which is really great for Jupyter Notebooks, you'll do this in your project. What you could do for words, and if you want to change the file, I'll talk about that later on, but then just for headings, you could put in hashtags. And the less you have, the bigger the font. And the more you have, the lesser, the smaller the font. But that's how you would do it if you just do it manually. And another way would be Control-Shift-P, and this is just a shortcut for not only this, but in other things. So if you were to do the same thing here, so that was for, and just that. Oh yeah, and then bullets. So for bullets, what you would do is just put a hyphen or a dash, and then type in whatever you have. So for example, this, and then so it automatically turns into a bullet. And then if you were to do a list, you would just, so the order doesn't matter. Like for example, if you were to do 1, 2, 3, and then whatever you put here, it'll recognize that you're doing a list. And when you run that, it'll change those as if it was a numerical session, like a bullet, but it's numerics.
Will it do?
Oh. Let's see if this works. Okay. So it does. All right, and then you can also do pictures, which would be very helpful. You can even do graphs, but that's for a later time. All right, I was gonna cover if-else statements, but do you guys have other questions?
I wanted to ask, when do we use code versus Markdown? Is that something we need to know?
I can take that.
Go ahead.
Use Markdown when you want to, when you prepare your notebooks, when you want to describe something. It's just text, right? So when you want to give a description about something, you write it, not using code, but using Markdown. And when you want to do actual code, then you do code cell.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Doesn't look like there's other questions, so I'm just gonna cover it briefly. This is on assignment 1, but if you're gonna do like true, Boolean statements like inequalities, it's really simple. So if you're gonna compare 2 variables,
Paul, there's a question.
Okay, go ahead.
So to where to find the link to access Jupyter Notebook through Anaconda. You showed that, right? Can you just give them that?
Yeah. So so just look over there, and that should show you the Jupyter numbers. We could actually compare two strings. Another way would be this. So that's true. Okay. And then other ones are if it's greater than or equal to. Anyways, so that's how you would do that. And now I'm going to show you guys how to do if-else statements. This might be something not familiar to you guys, but what you would do is this is a great way of comparing things in a list. So, for example, this is one.
So these couple ones are not covered in your, I guess, their first or second week. But I'm hoping, yeah, like you guys will read ahead. The one thing with Python is it does build on itself. So try to do your best to like repeat things that are unfamiliar, and then so some of these I'll cover this again next week, but I think it's just good to just overview them now.
In the lab, in your assignment one, it's going to be simpler. So it'll tell you exactly what you have to define. Okay, so if you define this is a list, and then now we want to check if there's something in, we want to evaluate what's in the list. So one way you could do that is if. So this is just another command. So what I have is a list of dogs that's 4 items. So that should, the length of this should be 4. But you want to check if it's greater than 3, right? And then in lab, it's mostly you're going to compare something on numbers, and then you'll output another. So what you have after the if statement, you want to remember if you're doing an if else and else if is, so you have the if and then the condition, and then you put in a colon. I'll show you guys the else and else if after. So you could just run this now. So what happened here is, so this if statement check what the length of this vector, which is 4, and then it's greater than 3. So it'll come in here when this is true, and then so you'll print, or it'll conduct this command if this is true. So you have this. And then so now I'll show you guys if this isn't true. If it's false, then it'll run whatever is else. So we'll use the same example. So then let's add in an else. So always remember, so after the if, else, and else if, make sure you don't forget the colon sign. All right. But before I run this, I'll just tell you what it's going to do. So in the if condition, which is the length of this is greater than 3, if this is true, then it'll run whatever you have after that. And if it's false, then it'll go to else, and it'll run whatever you have next. So right now, we know it's gonna run the first one, but if we take out the first two, or like then run it, then it's not greater than 3 anymore. It's 2, so it's false. And it'll run this. Like I said, in your assignment 1, it's going to be simpler.
So there's a question about how to use Anaconda offline. So you showed the command prompt thing. So answer your question, it's just basically the same. He can just show you how to open the thing again. So if you can go to your command prompt and then show how to open the notebook again.
Okay. So what that is I did show this. So after you download Anaconda, we've shown you, you'll have this command prompt, and then just type in Jupyter Notebook, enter, and then it'll open up the notebook, and then find the file or open up another file, and then you can work from there. But you won't be using this until your project. Jupyter Notebook is embedded in your data hub. Okay.
So since we're not using that yet, as long as we just download Anaconda, we're good. We don't have to connect it to Jupyter Notebooks yet.
Yeah, just for now, do all your assignments and coding lab in data hub.
Okay.
Okay, just a clarification, you don't really connect it to the notebooks. The notebooks are part of Anaconda, so you can run notebooks through Anaconda, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
You don't do anything else.
Okay, thanks.
Oh, hey, Paul.
Yep.
So what you're explaining here, is that similar to like the value comparisons in assignment 1?
Yeah, but in assignment 1, it's gonna tell you exactly what you have to do, like what you're gonna compare. Just here, I'll show you guys actually. This is assignment 1, and so once you get to that point right here, if you follow what it says, like it tells you what variable to define, and then what string to put within the if and else. That's it, yeah. And then that's pretty much what you're gonna do throughout these. Okay. Okay, so this is like one last thing. So the else if, so if you do if and else, I mean, for the most part that will cover it, but what if you had a condition where you had a second true condition? So that's when you have to put in the else if, and then the else would just be everything else. So here's one example. Okay, so for this one, so you define the same array, dogs, and then in here you had like 6 different items. And then so what I added was this else if, which was what we had before. But then now I just expanded this. So I added that you could switch these two, but what I put here was this is equal, greater than or equal to 5. So since it is, this is true, and it runs print, and you get this string. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
All right, so that's the end of the demo. If you guys have any questions, please let me know. Oh yeah, one thing to know, I actually just found out, but we're gonna have we're lucky this quarter. We're gonna have a second TA, and their name is Taylor. So I'm gonna add their information in my cover sheet in the next one. But yeah, we're gonna be answering. Taylor and I will be answering questions on the next couple labs. But if you guys do have other questions, just email me or write them on Piazza. All right, guys. Hey, Taylor, are you there?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I think it would be good if we talk about it now. So what do you think? Do you think this is good? Like if we do it this way?
I think we can also have breakout rooms for people who have individual questions, like coding questions.
Okay. Hold on. Like someone actually asked a question. Let me see. Have we learned the assert function? Okay, so Sidra, I think. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name, but we're gonna learn about that later on, about the assert function. It's just a way to so if you assert something, it's a way to check that your code is working. And if you assert it and it's true, nothing pops out, there's no error. But if there is an error, then it's gonna fail. Your assert function is gonna fail.
Oh, okay, because it's on the first assignment. It's like the first part of the assignment number 1.
Okay.
So I wasn't sure, because when it says that we, like for example, the first part asks to check if the number, if like a certain like a code was an integer. I
Yeah.
thought we were supposed to use the type function.
Yeah.
But do we not? Is it just the assert?
Okay, I think you could use either one. I'll look at it again. For now, because as I remember, we're gonna learn about type function first before we learn about assert. So just use type for now. I'll go back. I'll get back to you if I'm gonna look at if there's any changes.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, cool. All right. Okay, Taylor. So yeah, can you do a breakout room now? I made you host.
Yeah. Let me try something.
Okay. I'll talk about that on this next one.
Okay.
Because I think there's not a lot of questions on this one. Yeah.
Yeah, because the only thing that's due tonight is the coding lab.
Yeah.
And then I don't think it's that like long.
Yeah. But it will help though. Like this when did you take the COGS class?
I took it last summer.
Oh, so you
and-
took it in the
yeah.
summer? Yeah. Is it really
Yeah.
quick? I didn't take it, but the spring quarter was pretty. I mean, it wasn't hard, but then up until the end, but we had more time, you know.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a fast pace just because it's summer course in general.
Yeah.
And I think we just had longer assignments compared to what we have for this summer session.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it'll help. Like as much as you can, just give me all your ideas to make it easier.
Mhm.
Okay, so we'll do the breakout, and then can you? What I did last spring is we looked at Piazza every week, and then like if there's like lingering like common questions that people had, do you want to answer those like maybe in the beginning?
Sure, yeah, I can do that.
Yeah, we'll do it on the next one. I'll just put like
Mhm.
FAQs, so that there's not a lot of people asking the same questions.
Mhm.
But I think that's pretty much it. Like, I'm just gonna continue doing this, the videos. Can you hear the videos though?
Yeah,
Okay, good.
but I think
Okay.
it might be confusing to people who come in like a little bit like later,
Okay.
because like, you know how in the video like people ask questions in that video, not necessarily from our current
That,
session.
that's the thing. Like, I didn't really
Yeah.
edit it, but like, I didn't want to take the time,
Mhm.
to like pare it down. I was like, screw it. But yeah, like I think this first one there was a lot of interruption, but then I think the second, third, there's not as much. You'll see it. It's what I did is I actually created like an actual demo. This one I kind of just like wung it.
Mhm.
Like, I was just typing, but like on the next one there's actually like a demo. Okay.
So for those who are still in this Zoom call, do you have any questions that we might answer for you guys?
For which one?
No, I'm asking for like the people who are still in this call.
Oh, okay. I was like, there's still people in this. Oh, let me see.
Yeah, like
Shoot.
Jerry, Caitlin. I'm not sure if I'm saying right, but Nihal and Thomas. You can
What we
chat
need
to
to
us
turn
or
it. Yeah. So what we need to turn is what we need to turn in is the coding lab 1, right?
yes,
Yeah.
that's it tonight.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah, like for your due dates, I'm gonna do my best to put it here. So like, because then there's gonna be a lot if you're taking a lot of classes. But just to make sure you guys remember.
Yeah, the code. This lab seems pretty straightforward. It didn't seem too bad. I got most of it done. I got all of it done without really any problem.
Nice. That's good.
That's good, yeah.
I just wanted to make sure that there was nothing else besides like the CL1 tooling that's due.
Yeah. Yeah, this week is pretty easy. Yeah. The next week's it's gonna be like kind of like a combo of your assignments and coding labs.
Okay, awesome. Well,
Okay.
yeah, that's really the only question I had. So
Cool. Oh yeah, Taylor, do you want to introduce yourself in the next one?
Sure. But just be brief, like who I am.
Okay.
What year
Yeah.
I am.
Yeah, I just don't want them to be like, like who the because
Well,
I don't have your name here yet.
right. Well, I'm at my office hours on Monday, so that'll be before your next
Okay. I'm gonna
coding
add
lab
your
hours.
stuff. Yeah. I'm gonna add your stuff here. So
Okay, sure,
it'll
yeah.
be good. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I planned on going to the Monday coding lab and help,
Yeah.
what's her name, Sylvia. But
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know when Jose, the RA, is gonna help. during coding lab hours?
Yeah, it's so much easier if there's two. Because like right now, like I didn't know you were gonna come up, but like right now what I
Yeah.
have is like a third of my screen is the chat, and then the 2/3 is like what I'm sharing. But you guys can't see that.
Yeah. It's just the PDF file. It looks like.
Yeah. Okay. Good. But yeah, like I think for the next ones, maybe I can just yeah, because like right now, if I just do this, then at least it really depends, like how many questions we get. Like you can be in the breakout room, and then I'll answer them here, or we can switch.
Yeah, so I guess like when you first start, we'll just kind of like answer general questions they may have, and then after that, we'll just break into breakout rooms and answer like individual coding questions.
Okay, so you already opened the breakout rooms?
Let me try this. It might like kind of disconnect us from the main screen, but here, let me create the breakout rooms and see.
Okay, just to make, yeah, let's do that.
Okay, I created a breakout room, and yeah, so I can add or assign people to like individual rooms.
Okay, you've done it before, right?
Maybe like once or twice, but not as many times.
It's really easy. Like you created it, and then like you put the people inside. It's like really weird.
Yeah.
And then it's like a Sims game. No. But like yeah, once you create them, and then like you just go in, and then you'll disappear, and I'll be here still. Yeah.
Okay, Jefferson has a question. Don't want to use the interrupt, but doesn't matter if you use data hub or Anaconda. Do you want to answer this, Paul? Because I think if they use the local like Anaconda on their system, like they can't really submit the assignment, right? Unless they like put the same file name in the folder on the data hub.
Yeah, like the Jeff, for your question, the data hub just do actually do all your assignments in there. Because for this quarter, the reason why we're downloading it is that's going to be your local copy, but you won't be using that at all this quarter because there's no project. Typically, before we have students do it in their local, and that's why we have them learn it ahead of time and have it in their system already. I mean, in their computer. So yeah, just use your data hub.
Okay, cool. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, honestly, the Anaconda on your system and data hub they're basically the same like software. It's just like the web online version of it. And then
did you guys do like a project in summer last quarter or last time?
No, I did not. It's just the coding labs and longer assignments.
Oh snap! Okay, yeah. Like, did you guys have like 3 exams still?
Sorry, what did you say? I couldn't hear.
Oh, sorry. Did you guys have 3 exams still?
I had let me see. I think I had 2 midterms and 1 final. Yes, so three exams.
Okay. I mean, like for me, okay, hold on. Hey guys, we're gonna begin in a bit. I'm just gonna have people filter in. But yeah, like for me, I think I do like the project. Is like at least you have like like when you're done with the class, you have something to like for work and whatnot.
Paul, I think the way Zoom works is if you send a message now and people who come later don't see those chats.
Don't see it?
I think like that's what happens.
Okay.
Yeah, so people who already joined will see those chats like until this meeting is over.
Okay.
But once like it's like a person comes in now, they won't see the message you just sent about the drive link.
Yeah, that's why the first one, like I'm gonna resend it once like it's supposed to be 25 people.
Cameras on off. Honestly, there's some preference, but I guess all will work to save bandwidth on Zoom.
It's really up to you. if you want to. I just put a picture. If you sometimes people like, you know, it's like disembodied. They don't know if you're like a guy or a girl. So put a picture.
Clara, I'm not sure if I hear you.
Let me see. Okay, I think we hear a lot of people, but yeah, just once we begin, if you guys can mute your mic, please.
Oh yeah, I wanted to tell you that the link in the chat isn't like allowing access, even if I go through my UCSD email.
Okay, so what I've done is it's just a share. I'm gonna give you access after I'm done. Okay. We'll begin like maybe in 2 minutes.
So coding labs are not required, but you are required to submit the coding lab file by tonight.
So this lab is just a support to the coding lab homework.
Yes, every week.
So if we are finished the thing that we're supposed to turn in, we don't have to attend since there's no more new information.
Yes, but if you wanted to work on assignment 1, like ahead, and have questions about it, we can help you like later today.
Yeah, like
Okay.
what we've done like before is like coding labs. Like I'm gonna explain it here, but I'm gonna show you guys like some extra stuff from what you guys are seeing. But yeah, I usually treat the coding labs as like extra office hours, so it's good to ask here, you know.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yep. Okay, I guess we'll begin. So welcome guys. This is COGS 18, your first coding lab. I hope you guys are excited. This will be a breeze this summer. It's so I hope make sure you're on top of things. But first of all, let's introduce ourselves. So luckily we have 2 TAs at IATA this quarter for this coding lab. So my name is Paul Ian Kavasag, and the other, Taylor, are you there?
Oh, I think it cut off in the end, but hi, I'm Taylor. I'm one of the IA for this quarter.
Okay. Yeah, so both of us will be helping you guys. Just let us know if you need any help. But for what I have here today is just my email, and then I'll add in Taylor's email here as well. And for the office hours, I have it on Wednesdays, 6 to 7, and then Taylor's one is?
Every Monday, 10 a.m. to 11 a.m.
Okay. Yeah, so like if you guys look online, there's actually, I think, one for every day. So you're gonna have all your questions covered. But I just made sure to have it on Wednesdays because as you can see, so all your coding labs are due every week and before midnight on Wednesdays. And just to clarify, you will have 2 coding labs every week. So you have, or you can join either one, but they're optional. But you do still have to turn it in. There's gonna be one on Monday and then Wednesday, but it's gonna be the same coding lab. And then, like I said, every coding lab is due on Wednesday before midnight. And what I will do for logistics is I will have all the due dates here for upcoming, and so that will remind you guys ahead of time. But today, what we'll cover is just some basics. I know the Python experience here is quite varied, so, but just to let you guys know, Python is quite easy, streamlined. If you had experience with other codes before, like Java or like MATLAB, Mathematica, all that, those require some knowledge. But Python, it's really easy, so don't worry. But this week, we'll just cover how you're gonna download an offline version of Python, and then how to work with Jupyter Notebooks. And Jupyter Notebook is just an environment that uses Python. And some of the basic shortcuts, tools, how to submit your assignments on Data Hub and fetch it. And then a good thing is so just to make you guys aware, I'm gonna be showing you guys every coding lab a video of last quarter's demos. What these are just an extra element for what you guys are already learning in class, as well as your assignments. What I'm gonna go over, if you guys wait till the end, is I'm gonna cover some very similar coding for what you'll see in your assignments later on. But for today, it's just gonna be basically codes and markdown cells. And as I think one good way why I'm doing it this way this quarter is at the same time, while you're watching the video, we can answer the questions via chat. And just to let you know, since all you guys are here now, is when you guys answer questions or ask questions, you can either verbally do it, just don't worry, interrupt us, or you can PM us directly, or whatever way. And if you need individual help, private help, you can, Taylor or I can open a breakout room for you. Just directly PM us ahead of time. So anyways, before we do that, let me just go over what the coding lab is. So coding lab for today is divided into 3. So part 1 is, well, as I mentioned, Jupyter Notebook. So one thing I would note is when we grade these coding labs, it's gonna be for considered effort. So it's not really for accuracy, but make sure you do fill in everything. And not just to fill in, but like read like what the contents are. I think it'll be helpful in the end. But then for your assignments, those are gonna be more for accuracy. So make sure you really like read carefully and then do what it says. So anyways, part 2 is everything about Data Hub. In the video, it's gonna show you how to fetch the assignment and as well as how to submit it. And then part 3 is the Anaconda. Anaconda is, so what this is gonna talk about is downloading this version of it, which is like an offline. And so if you have any questions, let us know. And then this next thing, if you guys didn't receive it, I'll send it now again. But what I have here in the link is just a Google Drive for what I'm gonna talk about. I'm gonna do this every time. What I will do is if you click on that is I'll give you access after the lab. The first 3 here is about the codes and markdown cells, and the next 2, D and E, is just, go ahead. Okay. So the next 2 here are just a few things like if-else statements, if you guys want to look ahead. It's just a few beginning tutorials. It'll probably help. You don't have to do it, it's not required, but it will help you if you do so. But now let's begin. So before I do this video, there is another TA here, and this was from last spring. So she's going to be talking in and out for the coding labs, but just to let you guys know. But okay, let us know if you guys have any questions while I do this.
For the lab today, I'm gonna first show you how to download the software and then we're gonna show you some Python tools, and Ashish is gonna show you how to work with Data Hub. And then afterwards, I'll give you some FAQs and tips and tricks on the assignment as well as the first lab, which is relatively quick. So first, how do you download Anaconda? So in this website, just click on. Oh, hold on. So the first thing you do is you go to this website, and then you click download.
Okay, so I guess everyone should. So Jonathan, yeah, it really depends. You can make it in one code block or separate lines. Yeah, for me, preference like I like running it in one code block, and then just add comments. But if you do separate lines, what ends up happening is, wait, okay, for that one, I would just do it in one, like one line, put name, and then and then, but then if you do separate lines, you have to run it separately. So that's the one thing.
Now I'm going to open the coding lab 1 for you. So you'll click on CL1 tooling. This will open a Jupyter Notebook for you. This is a Jupyter Notebook. Now inside the Jupyter Notebook, let's talk about a few basic things about it, and then Paul will continue as well. There are 2 types of cells, first of all, a Markdown cell and a code cell. Now, these cells which have text in it are called Markdown cells because they are written in Markdown syntax. And then this, when I go down, is a code cell where you actually write your code, all right? You need to do shift and shift enter. So when you press shift enter, it runs a code block or any Markdown cell for that. All right. If you have any questions, you can just ask in the chat box or unmute yourself and then ask. Apart from this, for submitting your notebook, you go to Data Hub. Then there's an option on the side called Validate and Submit. So validate will check your notebook for all the test cases we have for you. Validate, and then if it passes all the test cases, it's going to show you a success message. And then for submitting it, just click on Submit, and that's all. It's submitted. So make sure you submit all your coding labs on or before Wednesdays, 11:59 p.m. Pacific time. All right, just make sure you keep track of the time, since you might be don't know where. So make sure you keep a track of the time, and you need to submit coding labs and assignments as well. Assignments for sure, but coding labs as well. Don't forget to submit that. And one more thing, submit your coding. We only have access to the last coding lab that you submit. So if you submit a coding lab or assignment after your deadline, you'll be marked late because we'll see only the last one that you submit. So make sure you make all the edits that you want to in your notebook and then submit it finally before the deadline if you don't want it to be marked. All right. That's pretty much it for Data Hub. Paul, you can carry on.
All right, thank you, Ashisha. Okay, so just ask away. What I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna show you guys some tips and tricks on Jupyter Notebook. I've already done this on the previous, but I'll show you guys here. But before that, there were some FAQs during class today. Just wanted to show you and answer those. So the first one was, how do you check your version of Anaconda or Jupyter Notebook? For Jupyter Notebook, and for both of them, just click Help and then go here. And so for the one in Data Hub, it's 3.6. But if you download the 3.7 and then do the same thing, it'll be 3.7, obviously. And then another thing is, some of you guys used Python before. We've used a different reader. So PyCharm is one I use. And then a question came up where, does it affect if you download Anaconda? Well, it shouldn't. I didn't really cover it, but once you download Anaconda and follow the installation prompts, it will specify, so read carefully, that if you have another reader, such as PyCharm, make sure you click that and not the other one. And so with that, it shouldn't affect it at all. Another thing is, so that question about updating your slides every time for class and accessing the slides in Jupyter Notebook. The link from the link from Canvas. Just copy that into your Jupyter Notebook here, and then you should be able to access those slides. And so now I'm gonna just go over kind of similarly to what Ashisha did, but just giving you guys some tricks on mostly what you'll do on your assignment one. Pretty much your code lab one is done if you followed what we said. But earlier, so if you did most of the coding is in part one. Part two and part three are just downloading and then following through the Data Hub. So if you've done that, just submit it, and that should be good. Oh yeah, just to inform you guys when things are due. The coding lab one is due tonight at 11 p.m. Pacific time, and then assignment one is not due until April 13th, 11 p.m. Pacific time. And so, okay, so now first thing is I'm gonna cover some shortcuts.
Sorry, I have a question.
Okay, go ahead.
Are we supposed to have access to what you're looking at right now? Because I can't find that anywhere.
Oh no.
No? Okay.
And tricks? No. He's
Okay.
Oh yeah. This is just what I'm going to show you guys. You don't have to do this. These are just tips on as you do the assignments.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, no worries. Okay, so you don't have to listen to me. You can continue doing your work or tune me out. If you have questions, just pop in the chat box. Anyway, so when you're working with Jupyter Notebook, some shortcuts that will be helpful is if you press like Y, let me delete these first. Okay. So if you press Y, the same way as so we've been working with two types of cells, right? Code cells and Markdown cells. And then this hovering may take some time. So if you want to learn how to easily just change it to a code cell or Markdown cell, is so you press escape first, and then so since this is a code cell and you want to convert it to a Markdown cell, press M, and then you press, and if you want to convert it back, you press Y to code. And then another thing is undoing. So let me see if this actually works. So yes, Z is undo, but it's gonna undo what you did prior, not yeah. And then so where you can find these shortcuts is here. You go to Help and Keyboard Shortcuts. They're very helpful. As of now, just use your mouse though.
Sorry, just a second.
Go ahead.
Just to clarify, assignment is not due today, but the lab is. So the lab's due tonight at 11:59 p.m. But the assignment's due on the April the 13th, all right? Carry on.
Okay. All right. So yeah, one other way, if you guys would like to find other shortcuts, is if you do Control Shift and P in your keyboard. This is a very easy way to find and implement. Like for example, which I'm going to show you here, is if you were to put in and click code, it'll just put in the hashtag, or you can just type it, whichever one is faster. And so that's one good way. Another, so that was just a brief overview. So now I'm going to talk about some tips on code cells. All right. So this wasn't really covered all the way in class today, but the professor is going to cover it pretty much on Friday about strings, variables, and some of the integers and if-else statements. So when you're working with strings, what you can do is you could actually use either a quotation mark or just an apostrophe. So one way to do that is, so you have a variable here, and then type in like this. So this is one way of doing it, and then you need to print it. And another way is putting apostrophe. So it's the same way. So it's the same thing. And then before I do some other things, let me show you, because this came up earlier. But if you wanted to do like a bold or italicized or bold italicized, you can do this in either one, but I'll show you in the Markdown cell. One way you could do this is doing underscores. So one underscore and whatever text you have, and another underscore is going to give you italicized font. Another way you could do that is with an asterisk. So make sure you have this in between the text that you have in between the symbols. And another way, which is a longer way, is doing this. And then for bold, so remember you use one underscore for italicized. So for bold, you use two. And similarly with on the asterisk. And if you want to use the longer way, and then so in Jupyter Notebook or Python, one of the nice ways of doing it is you can actually combine and nest your commands. So since what we just mentioned is So you have italicized 1 underscore, right? And so then you have 2 as the bold. So that should give your bold and italicized. All right. And then so let's see. Oh yeah, on your assignment 1, you're going. I think there's a question on concatenation. So this is how you combine strings. I'll just show you this first. And so what this means is if you have like 2 string variables, you just define. Oh wait, hold up. So you have to remember. So that was a markdown.
Quick question. Are you explaining what will be on the practice right now?
This is mostly on assignment 1, and then there's like there's probably part 1 of coding lab 1.
Okay. And that's for April 13th, right?
Yep.
Awesome. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. So when you do concatenation, so you define 2 strings. That's what I did there. And then what you would do is, so for like a full name, you would just add them, and then make sure you add a space in between. Oh wait, hold on. Like this. So yeah, that's how you do it. Okay, now I'm going to move on to numbers. So there's some basic ones, and there's ones that's not too intuitive. So mainly, when you add 2 numbers, you have the print sign, and then you add them like this, like very intuitive. And then subtraction. Okay, and then you can even do multiplication, and then division. But if you wanted to find like the remainder, so if you divide like 5 divided by 2, it gives you this, but it's a decimal. If you want to find the remainder, you put a percentage and a 2 in between, and this should give you 1. And then another one that there's a ton of these if you wanted to look for them. But another one is, how do you square something? It would be 2 asterisks. And also another thing is you've seen this in your lab, in the notebook labs, and you'll see an assignment. But when you want to add like a comment, this time you probably don't need to do a lot of these. But later on, if someone were to look at your notebook, it's easier to document what you did. So what you would do is just add in a hashtag, and it's in a code cell, and just type in whatever it is. And when you run it, it's not going to run that. Okay, so that's enough for the code cells. We're going to move on to Markdown cells. All right. So let me actually show you guys that shortcut. So when you do Control-Shift-P, and then if you wanted to, instead of inputting a hashtag, you can just do this, change cell, because they go up to 1 to 6. You could do that and then type in whatever you want here, instead of typing the hashtags. And
wait, can you explain that one more time, please?
Okay. So when you're doing like headings, which is really great for Jupyter Notebooks, you'll do this in your project. What you could do for for words. And if you want to change the file, I'll talk about that later on, but then just for headings, you could put in hashtags. And the less you have, the bigger the font. And the more you have, the less the smaller the font. But that's how you would do it if you just do it manually. And another way would be Control-Shift-P, and this is just a shortcut for not only this but in other things. So if you were to do the same thing here, so that was for just that. Oh yeah, and then bullets. So for bullets, what you would do is just put a hyphen or a dash, and then type in whatever you have. So for example, this, and then so it automatically turns into a bullet. And then if you were to do a list, you would just, so the order doesn't matter. Like for example, if you were to do 1, 2, 3, and then whatever you put here, it'll recognize that you're doing a list. And when you run that, it'll change those as if it was a numerical. No, actually, it
Capital A.
nah, yeah.
Okay. It's just
When do we use code?
And then another thing is you could actually add, and you've seen this in the professor's book, is you could add links, like a hyperlink. So this is how you would do it. You have square brackets and then parentheses. What you have in the square bracket is what's going to show up, and then what you have in the parentheses is where you're going to go. So let's see if this works. Okay, so it does. All right, and then you can also do pictures, which would be very helpful. You can even do graphs, but that's for a later time. All right, I was gonna cover if-else statements, but you guys have other questions?
I wanted to ask, when do we use code versus Markdown? Is that something we need to know?
I can take that.
Go ahead.
Use Markdown when you want to, when you prepare your notebooks, when you want to describe something. It's just text, right? So when you want to give a description about something, you write it, not using code, but using Markdown. And when you want to do actual code, then you do code cells.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Doesn't look like there's other questions, so I'm just gonna cover it briefly. This is on assignment 1. But if you're gonna do like true, Boolean statements like inequalities, it's really simple. So if you're gonna compare 2 variables.
Oh, there's a question.
Okay, go ahead.
So to where to find the link to access Jupyter Notebook through Anaconda? You showed that, right? Can you just give that?
Yeah. So Jupyter Notebook through Anaconda, the link. So here, okay.
Copy this maybe into the chat.
Hold on.
I think also on the coding lab.
Come again?
I think it's on the coding lab under part 3.
And so when you compare 2 values, this is where you usually use for if-else statements. You use 2 equal signs or whatever. This is one of them, and then this is gonna output true or false, right? And then when you do 2 So that's true, right? And then another one, if you're gonna do not equal, you put an exclamation point and then an equal sign. That's true. This is false. And then this is not only for numbers. You could actually compare two strings. Another way would be this. So it's true. Okay. And then other ones are if it's greater than or equal to. Anyways, so that's how you would do that. And now I'm going to show you guys how to do if-else statements. This might be something not familiar to you guys, but what you would do is this is a great way of comparing things in a list. So, for example, this is one in the lab in your assignment one. It's going to be simpler than this. So it'll tell you exactly what you have to find. Okay, so if you define this, the list, and then now we want to check if there's something in, we want to evaluate what's in the list. So one way you could do that is if. So this is just another command. So what I have is a list of dogs that's 4 items. So the length of this should be 4. But you want to check if it's greater than 3, right? And in lab, it's mostly you're going to compare something on numbers, and then you'll output another. So what you have after the if statement, you want to remember if you're doing an if else if is, so you have the if and then the condition, and then you put in a colon. I'll show you guys the else and else if after. So you could just run this now. So what happened here is, so this if statement check what the length of this vector, which is 4, and then it's greater than 3. So it'll come in here when this is true, and then you'll print, or it'll conduct this command if this is true. So you have this. And then so now I'll show you guys if this isn't true. If it's false, then it'll run whatever is else. So we'll use the same example. So then let's add in an else. So always remember, so after the if, else, and else if, make sure you don't forget the colon sign. All right. Before I run this, I'll just tell you what it's doing. So in the if condition, which is the length of this is greater than 3, if this is true, then it'll run whatever you have after that. And if it's false, then it'll go to else, and it'll run whatever you have next. So right now, we know that it's going to run the first one, but if you take out the first 2, or like and run it, then it's not greater than 3 anymore. It's 2, so it's false, and it'll run this. Like I said, in your assignment 1, it's going to be simpler.
Cool.
there's a question about how to use Anaconda offline. So you showed the command prompt thing. So to answer your question, it's just basically the same. He can just show you how to open the thing again. So if you can go to your command prompt and then show how to open the notebook again.
Okay. So what that is I did show this. So after you download Anaconda, as we've shown you, you'll have this command prompt, and then just type in Jupyter Notebook, and then enter, and then it'll open up the notebook, and then find the file, or open up another file, and then you can work from there. But you won't be using this until your project. Jupyter Notebook is embedded in your data hub. Okay.
So since we're not using that yet, as long as we just download Anaconda, we're good. We don't have to connect it to Jupyter Notebooks yet.
Yeah, just for now, do all your assignments and coding lab data hub.
Okay.
Okay. Just a clarification, you don't really connect it to the notebooks. The notebooks are part of Anaconda, so you can run notebooks through Anaconda, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Not do anything else.
Okay, thanks.
Oh, hey, Paul.
Yep.
So what you're explaining here, is that similar to like the value comparisons in assignment 1?
Yeah, but in assignment 1, it's gonna tell you exactly what you have to do, like what you're gonna compare. Just here, I'll show you guys actually. This is assignment 1, and so once you get to that point right here, if you follow what it says, like it tells you what variable to define, and then what string to put within the if and else. That's it, yeah. And then that's pretty much what you're gonna do throughout these. Okay. Okay, so this is like one last thing. So the else if. So if you do if and else, I mean, for the most part, that will cover it. But what if you had a condition where you had a second like a second true condition? So that's when you have to put in the else if, and then the else would just be everything else. So here's one example. Okay, so for this one, so you define the same array, dogs, and then in here you had like 6 different items. And then so what I added was this else if, which was what we had before. But then now I just expanded this. So I added that. You could switch these two, but what I put here was this is equal, greater than or equal to 5. So since it is, this is true, and it runs the print, and you get this string. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
Just a sec. To clarify, there's the question about text colors that you're seeing. So the text colors that you're seeing are automatic. He's not doing anything. It's because these are code cells, right? So Python compiler reads different text differently. A string in red color, right, like that. So it's automatic, and he's not doing anything to answer.
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, if you guys have other like specific questions, we can do breakout rooms. But just let me know or let us know.
All right, that's pretty much it, guys. Let me know or let Taylor and I know if you have other questions. For the next labs, I'm gonna have like more specific functions. We're gonna go over, I think some of these are gonna be covered more tomorrow or next week. But yeah, hope you guys did finish your labs. If you didn't, I will have another session at 6 tonight. Just log in. It's a different meeting, Zoom meeting. So go on Canvas and click on that. But yeah, let me know if you guys have other questions.